Hello, I'm Dr. Roger Elmer, Advanced Neurospinal Solutions, and I just did the video on the wobble chair and realized that I had the camera set up to where you couldn't see the wobble chair. And so here we go. These two videos are going to go together anyway. That one was on the wobble chair. This one's on the on the warm-ups. Notice here we have a wobble chair with arms. I call it training wheels. Much more stable, especially those that we get patients that come in here who can barely walk, some of them literally in wheelchairs when they come in, and so it's very stable. Then we've got the regular wobble chair without arms and that, but I said in the last video, it allows us to do the hysteresis, which means on-off loading that changes the elasticity of the tissue and allows it to be changed over time. It also allows us to pump up the disc. We're going to elongate those fibers so we can change the shape of the disc so that it supports the sagittal plane, or from the side, that curve system, the curve in the lower back, curve in the mid back, curve in the neck, so that it has that proper position, so that it perches your head, the center of mass of your head, directly over the center of mass of from your skull into the body, to the front of the pelvis, the front of the sacrum, to the back of the knees, and back down in the front of the ankle. And so it's going to allow us to create that change in shape of those discs so that they support that, because we don't want the muscles to have to create that. It also does this, it allows us to do it without tearing the fibers. We're going to be elongating those fibers. We call it adaptive elongation. Allow those changes to not hurt the disc, to not make it susceptible to future injury, degeneration, but even more importantly, according to Spine, which we quoted, that it allows us to leave in place the mechanoreceptors and the nervous system that goes to the brainstem and cerebellum and comes back down and protects it and allows it to have its stabilizer activity, which is what it does for a living. These muscles are stabilizers in nature. They're not prime movers, and you don't think them to move them. You just load it up and it does it, or it fails. And we're going to talk a lot about that in our biomechanics video series and also in our extrapyramidal nervous system series. But here we have the wobble chair. We're going to go through the warm-up exercises on the wobble chair. If you don't have a wobble chair, if you do have a wobble chair and somebody bought it for you, they obviously really love you. They want you to be able to take good care of yourself for the rest of your life. If you bought it for yourself, great investment, way to go. You're truly thinking long-term in your own health and strength and vitality and youthfulness. So in terms of sitting on the wobble chair and doing our exercises, if you don't have one, do it on a flat chair, not on a ball. The ball has a translational type of effect because the radius is too big and the circumference is too big, and so it more translates, whereas the wobble chair, like I said, the secret sauce is it's the same size, the pivot is the same size as the nucleus pulposus of the L5S1 disc, and it allows that pivoting to happen, that allows us to do that figure eight that's going to pump fluid to every angle of the disc. It's also going to allow us to create that hysteresis by on-off loading down its long axis, and as that happens, we decrease its elastic properties by up to 95% for 20 minutes. And so it's very changeable. We're preparing it for change. And we use the phrase, we have two major phrases here in the office. Well, we have many major phrases, but with respect to molding and respect to change and preparing, we always say the prehab makes the rehab. We always say the better the prehab, the better the rehab. And those are mantras that we say over, much like catechisms. We're saying them over and over and over again. So preparing the tissue is the model. If you lay on molds without warm-ups, you are just stretching and it goes right back. We want to change it as quickly as possible by changing the character of the tissue. Anyway, so here we are. I'm sitting down on my wobble chair, which I love. I also have one at home. Can't do without it. So, in the warm-ups, in fact, I'm going to tilt so there's a slight angle here. We're going to do some flexion extensions, okay? And so we're going to go back and forward, the first set of exercises. Back, we're going into extension, we're making a C out of our entire spine, and then we're going forward. I like to press, which accentuates that flexion position. We're going to do this at least 5 times. If you're on a regular flat chair and you feel like it's not doing quite as well, especially as compared to what you're doing in the office, that's okay. Double, triple, quadruple up. Instead of doing 5 reps of each, do 20 of each. They happen very quickly anyway. Now we're going to do rotations, which I usually do last, but the rest of them are all lateral flexors. So I'm going to go ahead and do the rotations now. So I'm going to turn my head. As I turn my head, I'm going to rotate. And then I'm going to rotate back and rotate. 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 Now, as I do that, I'm actually creating a counter move with my lower body, and we talk a lot about that in here from not only a mechanical point of view, but more importantly from a neurological point of view, how important that is. So as I turn to the right, my knees are going to go slightly to the left. And then as I come around, they're going to rotate in opposite directions. As I go this way, knees to the left. As I go this way, knees to the right. As I do that, I'm going to do 5 each side. That's going to warm up those tissues in a rotational fashion. Now we're going to do lateral flexions systems. So now we're going to point our fingers to the ground, and we're going to go across. Now notice how when I go over to the right, I'm going to bend my head and neck along with everything else. So I'm creating a C. But you'll notice that the wobble chair tilts. So as I go to the right, my right hip is going to come up and my left hip is going to go down, which significantly opposes that action and creates a massive stretch way down here low near the pelvis. And then we're going to go down on the other side. We do that. 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay? Like I say, and if you feel like you need more, do them. If it feels like it's loosening up and you'd like to loosen up a little more, do some more. Do what the tissue needs in preparation for the change. The better the prehab, the better the rehab. That's right, very good. All right, so now we're going to bring our hands from down to here. Now we're going to go, and you'll feel you're going to stretch a different area laterally. We're going to go to the side, and notice how I'm stretching in a C curve, and when I go to the right, my right hip pops up and my left hip pops down. But you're going to feel a different area that's being stretched mostly. Okay? So you're going to do these stretches, and then once you're done with them, we're going to go to above our head. And so we're going to stretch to the side, and you're going to feel there's another new area that's being focalized in that stretch. Side to side, side to side. And when I go to the right, my right hip pops up, my left hip goes down. That's the genius of the wobble chair. It creates a counter rotation or counter nutation. If you're in Canada, they call it a nutation. It means nodding. But it's opposite. If you're sitting in a chair, you don't get that. That's why I say double, triple, quadruple up on those exercises. Now, if you want to make it even better, which is the way I like to do it, I like to reach. And it's not really reach over, just reach up. Oh yeah, there we go. Bigger stretch, reach up, reach up, reach up, reach up, and you'll feel it even more. And I need that. Boy, I'm getting severely old, and all my rib fractures and stuff. There we go. All right, there we go. So the last one we're going to do is another lateral flexion, but we're going to hook on the back of the skull, just behind the ear. There's a bone called the mastoid process. We're going to hook our thumb underneath that. So we put our palm on our face, and our finger is going to go kind of cover the hole where your ear is, where the ear hole is there. It's going to cover that, and you're going to hook underneath the mastoid process, and you're going to do it on the other side. So when I go over, I'm actually going to pull up, pull up, pull up. You might hear some grinding. How many of you have been eating gravel this morning and you're hearing that gravel? Very good. All right. Side to side to side to side to side to side to side. If you're doing that and you feel it pop, that's all right. Don't try to make it pop. Just go through the motion and put the pressure. If it needs to be adjusted, I'll take care of it. But we want it to go in the direction we want it to go, in the way we want it to go. The style of adjusting that we do is distractive, and it also coaxes the biomechanics to work better rather than just slamming stuff. And so it's very, very strategic the way we do things. Those are the warm-up exercises to prepare them for being adjusted in the case of, in the office. In the case of molding, if you're warming up before you're doing the weights, the weighting system, if you're warming up before you do the isometric contractions that are needed to stabilize your ligament damage from the past, if you're warming it up for the link trainer, if you're warming up for anything, those are those exercises. If you have any questions, please let my staff know. And if we get enough related questions, we'll do another video. Hope you enjoy your exercises. Have a blast with your exercises. Thanks. Bye.